Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning blog. My name is Melissa Galasso and I am super excited to be with you today to talk about Q3 2025 in review. I cannot believe we are already in Q4 2025. This year has just flown by. And this blog is just going to take a look at the activity that happened in July, August, and September, which was pretty good. We had actually a good amount of activity this quarter. So we're going to take a look at what was issued, what was proposed, and what's happening at the major standard setters. So we're going to start with the FASB. They managed to issue 3 ASUs in the quarter, starting with one that we were desperately waiting for, which was that CECL modification. So for accounts receivable and contract assets, both a practical expedient and an accounting policy election for private companies and nonprofits, and even some PBEs got some love in there. ASU 2025-06 was related to software, and this really was a modernization of the software guidance. The guidance was pretty old. It really addressed what we used to do in terms of the creation of software, which is a waterfall approach. And today, in a more modern, agile environment, it just wasn't working. So some of the phases and things of that nature were removed from those guidelines. ASU 2025-07 looks at the scope of the derivative standard and provides a nice exception for things that are really not related to the underlying is related to the activities of the organization. So providing things that today would be in the scope of the standard would now be excluded. And again, make it a little bit easier for individuals to do the accounting for those types of instruments. They also proposed, on the very last day of the quarter, they proposed initial measurement of paid-in-kind dividends on equity classified preferred stock. We are going to be doing a blog on this next month, so stay tuned. The GASB did not issue any exposure drafts or anything in final. They have a big project they're working on, obviously revenue and expense recognition being one of them, but they also had a number of other smaller standards out there that they've been focused on. So nothing in Q3 in particular, but I did have the great opportunity to see David Bean inducted into the Accounting Hall of Fame. I was at the AAA conference in Chicago earlier this summer and watched them get inducted. There were 4 inductees, including Barry Melanson from the AICPA. So it was definitely an amazing experience on my behalf to get to see this in action and to recognize the hard work that the Governmental Accounting Standards Board does and the importance of governmental accounting in the grand scheme of things. And that's what David's speech was on. So it was pretty cool to get to watch that one. On the AICPA side of the house, PEAK, which is the Professional Ethics Executive Committee, they had 2 activities. The first one was tax services. They actually put this out as an exposure draft already. Got some comment letters and have put out a round 2 proposal, make some changes, particularly around wording. So you'll see some changes there. So again, we will have a separate blog on the proposal, but simultaneous employment was issued as final. So we previously did a blog. There were some minor changes that were made to the standard, but for the most part, it did what it needed to do, addressing USERRA, and again, moving towards a more principles-based approach. So it has rules, it has principles, and has a set of exceptions in there for simultaneous employment. On the ASB, the auditing standard side of the house, they did issue in early July, so it was very early, and so some things came in really late, some things were pretty early, was the auditor's responsibilities relating to fraud in an audit of financial statements. This is a proposed SAS. It's a pretty big one. Comments are due. We've already done an exposure draft on this. Jacqueline did a phenomenal job, so if this is of interest to you, go back a few in our blog and you'll be able to take a look at this. But this is a pretty big proposal, so you definitely want to stay tuned. Comments are due, I believe, in October. So again, probably coming up relatively soon. But with that, that's a wrap on this week's blog. Lots of happenings. We do expect a lot in Q4 from the FASB side of the house. We're expecting 7 ASUs. If they get out everything that they say they're going to, it's going to be pretty prolific in terms of activity in the 4th quarter of 2025. GASB also has some potential activity in the 4th quarter. So sort of stay tuned. In January of 2026, we'll do a year in review and we'll get to see what's happening throughout 2025. But I always like to make sure that you guys are aware of some of the activities both issued and proposed that are happening each quarter. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on a future blog. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.